Thanks, Dr. Wall. I consider it a privilege and a pleasure to be able to come today and share with you, and especially to introduce George. As has been indicated, I had a long road here at the hospital, but I had the best care that anyone could ever get, and consequently I was home before Christmas, and I was able to enjoy Christmas with my family, and I at one point wondered if I would ever make it, but we did, and I think you have to admit I don't look too bad today. And some of my former nurses are looking at me and saying, they remember that they've seen parts of me that I haven't even seen. But nonetheless, it's a delight to be here. Let me tell you a little bit about George Marcello. He contacted me some time back now because he so much wanted to do something that was meaningful to help donors and prospective donors understand how important it is that they be willing to give a legacy of life to someone else. And he talked with me in my office along with some of my colleagues and asked if we could do something to help him. And we were only too glad to do it, even though at that juncture I had still not had my transplant. But I was starting to look pretty awful, and I gained weight every couple of weeks, and we'd lose it again and all that sort of thing. But we were able to make some contacts and to introduce him to other people so that it would make it a little easier for them on the trip. And that, in cooperation with many other people, we were able to see that happen in Ontario, and that was really great. When George came to me subsequent to my surgery and mentioned that he was now going to look at crossing Canada to make it even more significant and more able to contact as many people as possible, I was delighted to hear it. And the one thing that I've learned with George is if he says he's going to do it, you can take that to the bank, because he will do it, and he'll contact many people, and he'll build relationships and friendships that'll be life-lasting, and I believe it will have a significant difference on who will be able to be the recipient of donations in future days. So for me, as we're about to embark on this next journey, I take great pleasure in introducing to you George Marcello, and you're going to enjoy him. He's a very enthusiastic guy and someone who will do much to help the program, and that's our desire too, to do as much as we can to help others. George, come and speak to us.
First of all, thank you very much, everyone that was up here for the very kind words. That's where I get my fuel from, because I do get some very discouraging days sometimes to continue on. And the warm receptions I've been getting here from London have just been awesome. I want to really just add on what how we're going to go about what we're doing, and to accomplish the goals of doubling the rate of organ donations. We are associated with many groups and many organizations right across Canada at this point. And what we're going to do on June 20th, we're going to have our big kickoff date. We feel that the best way to reach people is through publicity. That's been the #1 thing that most organizations and groups have agreed on, that there's just not enough publicity out here in Canada when it comes to the subject of organ donations. It hasn't become a mainstream subject here in Canada. It has in other countries that are doing more successful, and that's part of the reason why they're doing more successful. So our goal is to make this a mainstream subject so that everybody can think about it and talk to friends about it and talk to the people at work, and it could become a more common subject. And then, of course, I think the steps into developing a better system here in Canada, which, you know, there's certain areas that need to be targeted to develop a more constructive system, a more adaptable system, a friendlier system, will take place also, because I think that's the other area general areas that we're going to hope to accomplish while we do this. And on June the 20th, what we're doing is we're having a big kickoff in Toronto. And we're generally going to be walking through the streets of Toronto at that point. And at 12 o'clock, at 12 noon, we're going to have a ceremonial gathering at Queen's Park. And we're calling it the lighting of the torch, which I brought with me. And it's this Olympic torch over here that was donated to us by a very small company, Aspire Marketing, in the States. And they make all the torches for all the Olympics, and they donated this to us. We are going to have, it's not confirmed yet, by either Premier Harris, Mayor Lassman, or Chief Fantino to light this torch. And they are going to pass this torch to someone that's on the waiting list. And then that person will pass it on to a person that, from a family donor that donated the organs. And then that person is going to pass it on to another person. And we're going to keep relaying this torch right throughout Toronto that day. And the next day, we're going to keep relaying it through the community of Mississauga, and so on throughout over 500 cities and towns. And so far, I have to tell you, we've been getting thousands of people come forward. So we are looking at this torch as being the symbol and representative of this whole project, because it's going to symbolize hope, harmony, and a spirit for the continuance of life. And Wayne McIsaac over here, he's our director of all our technical operations. We're building a website that will give us a data bank, so we'll be able to get Canadians' opinions about this subject. We'll be able to get concerns, questions, all put into the website as we're going from community to community. And also we're going to have a movie video on this website, where we'll be able to capture all the precious moments of all the torch carriers, and people can click into this website and see who's carrying the torch that day worldwide. And we think that that kind of enthusiasm is needed to generate a more positive feeling towards organ donation. We're also in cooperation with the Canadian Olympic Association. They're actually our partners now. And they're going to bring all their athletes to this event, so we can get their athletes to carry the torch in every one of their respective communities. I'm making a lot of noise here. We also are in the process of affiliating ourselves with the CFL, with the Blue Jays, and we're actually holding a big press conference at the Sky Dome on June the 9th, at the Sky Dome at the Hard Rock Cafe. They're hosting it. And we're going to have the two birds there. That's the two mascots from the Blue Jays. They're going to do some along with some of the athletes from the